Today I have a beautiful story, a fantasy, a magical story from the fairyland for all of you, a story about dwarfs and a beautiful princess. Snow White and Seven Dwarfs. This story has lovely takeaways, so please hear the whole story from me. And this story is being narrated by me, Ammu, on Ammu&You, where I always get lovely stories to narrate to you and for you to hear. So, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. One snowy winter morning, a queen sat sewing by her window. As she looked out at the beautiful palace gardens, she pricked her finger with the needle. She quickly put her finger in the snow to stop the bleeding, and the snow turned rosy pink. She said, "How I wish I had a child as fair as the snow around, with rosy lips and cheeks, and hair as black as ebony of the window sill." Now, children, this wish was only because the queen was surrounded with snow and she saw the ebony and she saw the blood falling on the snow. Otherwise, no mother wishes for only a fair child. Mothers love their children, whatever color, shape they come to them. Right? Time passed and the king and queen were blessed with a lovely baby girl. They named her Snow White. Alas, the queen died when Snow White was still a baby, and the king had to marry again to look after Snow White. The new queen, though, was an evil witch. She had magical powers which she used to do all the wrongs. She had a magic mirror and she would ask, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of us all?" And the mirror would reply, "You are the most beautiful, my queen." Now, this would make the queen very happy. Till many years later, when Snow White had grown up to be a young, beautiful, loving girl, the mirror gave a different reply. The mirror said, "O queen, though a beauty you are, Snow White is more beautiful than you." The queen turned red with anger. She did not realize that Snow White was more beautiful because of her beautiful heart inside. She called out her huntsman and said, "Snow White must die. Take her to the wild woods and bring me back her heart." The huntsman took Snow White to the deep woods on his horse, but could not kill Snow White. So he left her with a warning that please do not come to the castle anywhere, anytime, else the wicked queen would kill you. Poor Snow White turned pale with fear in the dark woods. The night creatures were scaring her till suddenly she found a little cottage. She ran into it and was surprised to see seven little beds, seven little chairs at the table, and a meal laid down for exactly 7 people. Snow White was hungry and sleepy. The cottage looked warm and inviting. She ate and fell asleep in a tiny little bed. Now the cottage belonged to 7 dwarfs, and when they returned, they were surprised. Finally, when Snow White woke up, she told them a sad story, and the kind dwarfs happily agreed that Snow White could live with them. Snow White would take care of the house, the cooking, cleaning, and the sewing, and would spend the day happily doing all this, while the 7 dwarfs, who were carpenters, would set out bright and early for their workshop deep in the woods. Alas, one day the magic mirror told the evil queen that Snow White was still alive and was the most beautiful. Wicked queen made a poisonous magic potion and coated some apples with it. She disguised herself as a poor old fruit seller and reached Snow White's cottage. She said, "Oh, you lovely young girl, can you help me by buying these sugary sweet apples? I'm so tired and old." Now the apples looked very red and juicy, and more importantly, Snow White was very kind-hearted. She wanted to help the old poor woman. So she took one apple, and as soon as she bit it, she fell on the ground dead. "Ha, ha, ha," cackled the evil queen and ran away saying, "I am the fairest of all now." That evening, the dwarfs came back with a beautiful bed they had made for Snow White to thank her for caring for them. They were very fond of their gentle friend. But when they saw her lying as if dead on the ground, they burst into tears. Who could have done this to our dear girl? They all cried together. Night and day, the dwarfs sat by Snow White, who slept on the bed they had made for her. One fine day, a handsome prince arrived and saw the lovely young girl asleep. He instantly fell in love with the innocence on the face and kissed her. And Snow White woke up as the poisonous apple fell from her mouth. She then told the whole sad story to the prince and the dwarfs. The prince locked away the evil queen in the dungeon, and she was never to be seen again. Soon the handsome prince and the lovely Snow White were married. The dwarfs rejoiced in the kingdom, and they all lived happily ever after. So, children, did you see that good always ends with good, like Snow White? She faced all difficulties, but she was helped by everyone because of her love and kindness. And what happened to the evil queen? Because she was evil, she ended up in the dungeon. So, always be good, my dear children. Write how you like the story in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe, press the bell icon. Thank you for your time, and wait for Ammu when she comes back again. Till then, Ammu says, Tata.